All right, so let's get started. If you attended our last event, and I can see a few people, Eva, hi. I see a few people who attended our last event. I remember there was a lady in the audience who asked the CEO of Acorn Investment Management Limited. She asked him to name a few investment options that she should invest in order to be able to retire by the time she is 40. And at the time she was 39 by the so it was just yeah, it was funny because like it's only a year. You should have asked me this question 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But still, from that, her question sparked our interest to actually be able to ask, is it really possible to retire at 40? And it's a very important in conversation because a lot of times I interact with people on a daily basis, and a lot of us are very delusional about the concept of retirement, right? Some of us are practical, but a lot of us are very delusional about the concept of retirement. Some of us, a practical example is I've seen young people they want to get into stuff like forex trading because forex trading promises to a get rich quick scheme, right? So it's like if I start forex trading today, in the next 5 years, no, even I'm exaggerating, in the next 1 year, I'll be rich, I'll have a nice car, I'll be living in Kileleshwa and such. So that's delusional. But then today's conversation, we want to make it very, very practical. And so let's have a conversation. So Elvis, do you think it's possible to retire at 40?
That's a very good question, Agatha. So I personally think it's possible to retire at 40, at 30, at 20, right? And this is mainly because we think of retirement in a very flawed way, and it's simply how we've been brought up. Most of us probably saw our parents, or you probably just see society telling you that there's this retirement age at 60, so you have to work until you get to 60. But what if I told you you've probably achieved retirement, and we're going to define retirement, before getting to that age and you really don't know it yet? And why I say this is because for a very long time we've defined retirement as working hard throughout the years to achieve a certain goal. But you achieve 60 and then what? You probably believe you'll stay at home, play golf, etc. But at that point, you really just, I hate to say it like this, but you're really just wasting your life. You're wasting what you can do and not learning your skills. So how I look at retirement, I look at it in a psychological manner, is that most of us hold a position that we want to retire at 60. But what are the real interests that you may be having to retire at 60? One of them is probably being able to achieve that freedom by the time you get to a certain age. Another one of them is being able to control your time. Another real interest behind retirement is being able to achieve financial freedom. But why not sit back and see that you could achieve all these smaller items, right, even before you hit the age of 60, and you'll have actually been able to achieve retirement, right? So, for example, mine is debt freedom, right? Currently, I'm very proud, like I was able to achieve debt freedom at the start of this year. And to me, based off that, I consider the fact that I look at someone who's retired and I'm like, I've actually retired partly, right? And I really do enjoy my job. I really do enjoy what I do because now I'm not working in a rat race. So there's no difference between myself, right, and someone who has actually attained that age of 60 and retired. The only difference actually is the fact that I still get to exercise my skills. I still get to increase my income and enjoy what I actually do. The fault is that we get trapped in a rat race, so which makes us make bad decisions. I'll give you an example, right, before I hand it over to Agatha. I'll give you an example of buying a house. The real reason you want to buy a house is to escape the aspect of paying rent, right? But you're forgetting that you'll probably pick a mortgage, right? Escape the aspect of paying rent, but now you are stuck for like 20 years of your life, meaning you have to work for 20, 30 extra years to be able to pay that mortgage. And again, 30 years is really not assured, especially in our economy, right? You either have to be, now in this economy, you have to be more than excellent in order to excel. So I usually position it in the sense that, so why not invest my money in different asset classes and passive income, and I get to live anywhere I want to. I want to live in current for a month or even 3 months. I can be able to move from point one to point two, and that to me is how I define retirement.
Okay, so to summarize, you as Elvis, the things that you define as retirement is one, debt freedom, being able to enjoy your work. What else?
Being able to control my time
Yes.
and learning new skills.
Learning new skills, yeah. So you see, one of the things that we are trying to achieve here is have a different perspective to what retirement means, because as he said, a lot of us, we think of retirement as what we were taught, like, go to school, work very hard. Like, for example, baby boomers, they have the same desk at work. They will sit on that desk for the next 35 years or for the next 40 years. And then when you're 65, here's your pension. And most of the time we've seen this problem in Kenya where you're handed your pension, it's like 3 million. Like, you will blow this 3 million in the next 1 year, and then you'd be poor, and then you'd be like that grandmother one of the ladies was describing. And so the concept here is it possible for us to redefine what retirement is to us? Because usually that's the problem. We are not specific about what retirement means to us. If what retirement means to me doesn't have to mean what retirement means to Elvis. So that is the list of what retirement means to Elvis. And so maybe I can take it up from there and share what retirement means to me. And then from the audience, we can try to see what does retirement mean to me. So for me, I'll give a few aspects of how I feel I have achieved retirement, even if I'm not yet 40. So for example, one of the ways that I've achieved retirement is that I have full control over my time. An example is I do financial coaching. I help people create budgets, create investment portfolios, and all that. And one rule I have with my work is that you cannot book a meeting with me before 11 a.m. because I'm not a morning person, right? So for me, I don't wake up with morning alarms. So I remember when I had a 9-to-5 job, one of the real reasons why I really, really needed to have my own business is because I hate the concept of morning alarms. I hate the concept of somebody expecting me to get to work by 8 a.m. and be seated at a desk and do what they want. So from the very beginning, I defined that if I ever start my own business, that is the first thing I'm going to get rid of, morning alarm. So for me, I like my body to wake up naturally. So you cannot book a meeting with me before 11 a.m. That's a rule. So for me, I have achieved that. So that apart from coming to this event, for example, which I could not come late, but on a normal basis, I do not use an alarm to wake up. Another way I define financial freedom is that I have control over my time, right? This is to mean that nobody expects me to be somewhere at X time, right? So for me, because, when you retire, we hustle so hard so that one day when we are 60 or when you are 65, you don't have to show up at work. You don't have to get stuck in traffic. So for me, I feel like I've already achieved that because I define my time. I define how many people I can coach at a go. I define which events I want to attend to. I even define which people I can work with, because once in a while somebody will reach out to me and like, I want for us to do X and Y collaboration. And if I feel this is not a person I would like to work with, then I will say no, even no matter how much money they are offering, right? I will say no. I have that kind of freedom. So those are two ways that I define what retirement means to me before even I reach the age of 40. So the question is, what does retirement mean to you? Is there something what would you like if you woke up tomorrow and you're like, yes, I have achieved financial freedom or I have achieved retirement? What would that be? That's something that doesn't involve being 65.
For me, retirement would mean having a stream of income that's not dependent on me. Like, I don't have to be there for me to have that to get that money monthly or whatever time. So I don't want to be part of the money making process. I just want to get the money.
Ooh, I like that.
What was her last sentence?
Oh, she doesn't want to be part of the money making process. She wants to just.
Is that practical?
It is, though. If you think about it in the grand scheme of things, I think it is possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe she could give us an example of how.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I always say I don't like living in delusion land.
Guy.
Right? Like, is it possible? No, I'm not saying she's delusional. Is it possible? Give us an example.
I think it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
For example, with when I have assets that generate the income, so that I don't have to use my effort, like my physical effort, for example, or my mental effort. Just create processes for myself that give me money. and not have to be very much involved in it, physically especially.
Okay.
Okay, I think I really like how you've defined retirement and what you're trying to achieve. Now, I'll just I'll throw a spanner in the works, right? On the reality of what you've said. Now, it's totally fine to want to be at a space where you have passive income, you have assets. Now, the challenge that usually comes up with that is, so how do you generate the income to invest? And there are different things. There is saving and there is investing. So a lot of us confuse the two. Then there's actually being able to get that income. If you don't fix how you get the income, it means you'll have to wait until you're 60 or 75, right, to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So I think just to shape how you're thinking, probably someone else who may be thinking the same way. The only way there are a few ways to get there, right? One, you can choose to be employed, right? If you choose to be employed, you can't be a normal employee, unfortunately. You have to be what I call an entrepreneur. That means you have to be like a James Mwangi, who at times will assume he founded equity, but he was picked up and he grew to where he is today. The second thing that a lot of us forget to do is that we have to be able to find a problem that we can solve. That's one of the quickest ways to make income. I usually like to say moonlighting is not making an income. And I'll give an example of the Uber business.
What is moonlighting?
So moonlighting is that aspect of you pick many side hustles, right? You doing X, you want to do X, you want to do X. And it's something a lot of us Kenyans do. And we get into the trap of cash flow. So you're just chasing cash flow, but you're not building wealth. So we're in the mentality of, I want to 100K here, I want to get 200K here, I want to get 30K here. And you assume now you're making money. But in reality, you've put yourself in a vicious cycle, right? So you need to move away from that. The only way to move away from that is by being able to solve a real problem in the market that you can be able to, if it's a business, build a business you can actually sell and exit from, right? And I'll go back to the idea of Uber, whereby today we've seen how a lot of people are complaining about Uber, and it's the drivers, right? I personally had invested in Uber, right? And the mistake I did when I invested in Uber, when it came in, I bought 3 cars and I sold them in a year, and I lost a lot of money. The thing is, I entered into it thinking that this Uber can be a business that will work, forgetting that Uber was created as a sort of an extra income business. It was created as a side hustle, right? So there is a lot of drivers today are suffering, right? Is mainly because they picked a side hustle and turned it into a full-time job, right? It can't work, unfortunately. It's not how you generate income. That's why today they are striking. And that's why I always go back to say money is very fast psychological and a mental game than any other thing, right? Yeah.
Invest. To me, it is time control. I am able to do whatever I want, whatever time I was to do it. And also, it's something that has been so dear to me because I saw my dad. That's something I want to completely remove from my son's life because my dad never subjected me to that. I saw him invest and I have seen it working for him later on in his life. So avoiding black tax and also time control. And again, to be able to maintain a lifestyle that I had when I'm working after I've been tired. So in maintaining that lifestyle, that's something that I call habit.
What did your dad invest in?
Real estate.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Invested in real estate.
Did he teach you how to do it?
That's something that we talked about at the table. I've seen he did it. No. Because I think there's a concept in Africa where we have nyinyi ni watoto fanya kazi ya watoto, so hii ni kazi ya watu wakubwa.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
and then they don't teach us how to generate wealth. They don't teach us, but they tell you ukipata kazi nunua shamba. Mm-hmm. But there's no education or the financial education. Then nikinunua shamba and then
Yes.
see.
Yeah.
So it's something that we talk about that we've seen. I personally have seen like Indians, for example. they have that family wealth, right? It doesn't only belong to one person, it belongs to the whole family. A 12-year-old will be taken to a business trip. That way, the father's network becomes the son's. So it is something that I think as Africans we need to embrace.
Okay, thank you for sharing, and I'm glad that I'm glad you observed that your dad invested, and that is how he was able to give you the life that he gave you. And I'm also happy that you observed that your dad did not pass black tax to you, and so you picked up that lesson, and you do not want to pass black tax to your son, because one of the reasons why it takes a while for a lot of us to pull ourselves by the bootstraps, because that's what we are told. A lot of us take very long for us to achieve this thing called financial freedom or even financial security, is because when you get your first job, way before you start thinking about investing or saving for yourself, you first have to save your mom, your dad, your younger siblings, your cousins, your grandmother. And so by the time you're finishing saving them, which most of the time does not happen, right? I would like you to forget the idea of saving people, because a lot of us like to Jesus the situation, right? You want to be the savior in your family. A lot of the times it doesn't happen, because most of the time the people we are saving do not have the skills for it to be sustainable. I wanted to go back to the lady who said that her idea of financial freedom, which was very perfect, is that she wants to be in a position where her work does not need her, right? So it's very important for us to understand that most of the time we make income in two ways. There are two forms of income. There is active income and then there's passive income. Let's first talk about active income. So active income is where you sell your time for money, right? So let's say you're a teacher, for example. So you have to show up in school for a whole month, and then at the end of the month, your employer is going to give you X salary. So you're selling your time for money. And it doesn't matter whether you're a teacher, whether you're an auditor, whichever job that you have. The thing is, the mistake that I see a lot of people making, especially the people that I coach, is that when you're a high income earner, right, in a Kenyan context, when you're making 250,000, 300,000, 450,000 and above, a lot of us think that we are not selling our time for money, right? We live in this thing where we are like, oh, I'm a high income earner, therefore I'm not selling my time for money, like the way you'd see, for example, a hawker, right? You think that they're selling your time for money. But the truth is, if you go back to your employer would be able to tell you, the reason why you make this money is because I have calculated your hourly value. Even if you're a high income earner, your employer knows that Eva, you're worth 5,000 shillings per hour. James, you're worth 2,000 shillings per hour. So that is what active income is. All of us, in fact, I try to tell people so that you have your feet on the ground when it comes to your finances. All of us are hawkers of our time. All of us, no matter where you work, your employer has figured out what is your hourly rate. So that is your active income. So what is your job? Your job every day, it doesn't matter even I who has a small business. Our job every day is to wake up, work hard, earn that income, and then transform that active income into passive income. And so now, what is passive income? Passive income is the opposite, is where you're not selling your time for money. So passive income is where you're making money when you're sleeping, when you're on vacation, when you're chilling with your husband or your spouse, when you're chilling with your children. That is when you can say you're making passive income. How do you make the passive income? There are different ways that you can make the passive income. The two most common ones are you invest. So for example, you have a money market fund account where you put in 1 million shillings, and for example, if it's giving you 10%, right? So that 10% is your passive income. But remember, the reason why I was saying that a lot of us live in delusion is because we forget, in order for you to make that 10%, how did you make that 1 million? You understand? Like, we forget that step. Or how did you make that 1 million? Because you must have worked very hard for you to make that 1 million in order for you to be entitled to, or for you to have the right to earn that 10%, right? So that is the first way. You invest your money, and then the investment company tells you this is the return that you're going to get. The other way that you can make passive income is setting up your job in a way that it makes passive income. So for example, a common example is someone like me, for example, who would say that I sell budget trackers, right? So 2 years ago, I made a budget tracker because a lot of people struggle with budgeting, and then I put it somewhere online. And even right now, when I'm seated here, somebody is probably on my website and will buy that budget tracker. That is passive income, because I don't have to make any effort now in this day in order for me to make that 1,000 bob. So you see, those two things were, one, you're making money from your investments. Remember, you had to make a lot of effort to earn the 1 million shillings in order for you to earn the 10%. And then on the other spin-off of, you made something, for example, you created a digital product, you had to put in the work, right? Because I don't want us to think that you can make passive income or you can achieve this financial freedom retirement without putting a lot of work, because you really have to put in a lot of the work in order even for people to buy what you have created. So yeah, so there's a difference. There's active income and passive income, and our daily role is to turn our active income into passive income. Okay, so do you have an addition?
I think I don't have an addition to that. I think the only addition I would have to is on black tax, which she mentioned, which I think is a very big issue that a lot of us, especially young people as well, that we actually do go through. And it's one of the things that, again, prolong our goal of achieving financial freedom. And I really do support what you said, because I've dealt with black tax for a very long time, right? And I think it's very recently that I decided to take the step of letting God play God, right, when it comes to dealing with black tax. Because I used to do that role. So I used to be the one, I'll be called and asked. I'm like, okay, fine. I give. But when I was trying to work towards my goal of attaining that freedom, I realized I'll never be able to meet it at all. And this thing with dealing with black tax, nowadays I look at it as giving someone money. I rather teach you how you can get a skill and make money yourself, including to our parents, right? Like, I will go home, I'll find they have an entire tea farm, for example, no one does anything to it. So I decided to go and look for a way this tea can be plucked by someone and they will earn income. But if you don't teach anyone to do that, including the place where you pay black tax, they'll always be dependent on you. So I think the key lesson and the key take out of black tax is you'll have to get to a point where you stop playing Jesus and you let God play God. And that's the only way you'll break those shackles.
I'm glad you clarified on the part that, first of all, before you set up a portfolio and everything else, you have to have that money. Yes. And Elvis said something that he brushed through very fast, and I would like clarification from him. He was talking about Dr. James Mwangi and how he set himself apart in the marketplace, because that is the beginning of how to make that money that you finally invest.
Yes, okay, let me clarify what I mean. So as I said, yes, so you have to look for the money first. Now, unfortunately, our education system, a lot of us are cultured to work and get employed, right? That's what a lot of us go through. It's very rare that you'll find yourself cultured in a way that you're cultured through the education system to go out in the market and become someone who solves problems. That's why we have very few founders, but many CEOs, if you look at it, within the market, whereby you have founders, people who actually started businesses, and you'll find them playing golf, but now they've employed CEOs. And that's because the world is not fair at the end of the day. We are cultured very differently. Now, I usually don't like hating on employment, right? Because I have used employment to my own benefit, right? But being someone who has managed teams, have enabled young people to actually grow and learn from me, I usually say when you go into a workplace as an employee, you have to define yourself from being an ordinary employee and being an entrepreneur. Now, an entrepreneur is someone who starts a business, etc. But an entrepreneur is someone who you're placed into someone's business, for in this case, and you be very valuable. You drive the revenue. You're sort of able to think like an entrepreneur in the setting of another business. So instead of just being a normal, ordinary employee, you become an entrepreneur. And I like to look at James Mwangi and how he's been able to do it, whereby he started, I think, as a business development something. Now he's grown towards becoming a CEO. As in, if you look at it, there's sort of no equity without him, right? The same way as Safaricom. In Safaricom nowadays, because ever since Bob passed away, unfortunately, how we look at Safaricom today is that Bob was so instrumental to Safaricom, right? We used to blame a lot of things on him, and he was able to fix a lot of things. Again, he was not a founder. He started as an employee, but he had a different mindset. So what I like to say is that we're employed in someone's business, right? Because again, not all of us have the skill to solve problems. It's unfortunate, but you need to be able to work as if you are the owner in that business, and that is the only way you grow your value, right? You grow your value. As your value grows, you're able to grow income. So that's exactly what I mean. So entering the workplace with a very different mindset to what you think it is, and being able to build your own sort of path within someone else's business.
I would like to add to that. My first job, I finished uni in November 2016, and thank God I got employed within the same month, right? And I remember my first job, it used to be, it was a company somewhere in Lavington. And I remember one of my biggest takeaways from my first job was, first of all, my boss was Indian. And you know the way Indians work hard. Like, Indians are cutthroat when it comes to their work ethic. And I remember when I started my first job, I knew that, work, how having a job means showing up in the office at 8 a.m. and leaving, at 5 or 6, the normal 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. And I remember after 1 week of working in this company, I realized that a lot of the people, it was a small company, but they were like 10 employees. I realized that a lot of people in that company never showed up at work at 8 a.m. And so I remember asking my boss, right, the CEO, why is it that people in this company don't show up at 8 a.m.? And he told me, Agatha, work is not something that you go to. Work is something that you do. I repeat, work is not something that you go to. Work is something that you do. And I remember that completely changed my perspective about work. And this is very related to retirement, because a lot of us, when you think of, I want to achieve retirement, we think of, I want to completely abandon the whole concept of work. And, we want to abandon the whole concept of work. And when you think about it, is that really possible? Imagine that tomorrow you're told, from tomorrow you're retired. So therefore, this means that all you have to do is wake up, eat, sleep, be in your house, watch Netflix, just chill the whole day. Is that possible? Won't you get bored? Won't your mental capacity decline? Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, I came to realize, from my boss teaching me that, I came to realize the problem is not work. The problem is what work you're doing, right? What relationship do you have with the work that you're doing? And so from then on, I picked up that, work is not something that you go to. Work is something that you do. So therefore, it made me understand that, make peace with the fact that as a human being, you have to work, right? So now the question is, what are you working on? That is the main question. What are you working on? Because then if you're working on something that you enjoy, then most of the time, because it's a lie when people say that if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. That's another delusional statement. That is a lie, because I absolutely love what I do, but once in a while, you are tasked to do something that you actually do not want to do. So that's the whole thing. So retirement, you can achieve retirement by, one of the ways that you can achieve retirement is being in a work situation that you absolutely love, that you actually enjoy. So then it doesn't feel like a hassle. It doesn't feel like you're in the rat race. And something else, I remember again when same job, one of my colleagues again was an Indian. I think that company had a lot of Indians. I remember we used to be given this project. So you're put in a team of 3 people, you're given projects, and the problem is the deadlines were so short. The deadline was so short. It's like you're given a workload of work today, and in 3 days' time, you're supposed to deliver. So for me, the first 3 weeks, I used to show up at work, and I'm just complaining about how much we have to do, how short the deadlines are. But then that colleague of mine, my Indian colleague, she always used to show up having finished her work. And I remember asking her, what time do you sleep? Like, how come you're always delivering? And for me, I was complaining to her in that, what is wrong with our boss? Why is it that he's always giving us excess work that we are supposed to finish in 3 days? And I remember her teaching me that, Agatha, you need to build your work ethic. Right? And she told me, you need to build your work ethic. And I'm not telling you to build your work ethic to impress your boss. Like be the person who delivers the deadline to impress your boss. I am telling you to build your work ethic, because that is the most important thing you will build as a young person. Because if you do not have good work ethic, even when you start your own business, and it's the same thing he's saying, right? If you do not build your own work ethic in that you can meet deadlines and you can do and deliver what you promised you're going to do, even when you start your own business, you're not going to be able to make it work. So you don't build your work ethic to impress your boss, you build your work ethic for yourself. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that it was right for my boss to give us so much workload for us to be able to deliver in 3 days. That is not right. That's not what I'm saying. So I would still say it was not right for my boss to do that. But at the same time, she really taught me why it's very important to have good work ethic. And I think from that is what I believe has been able to enable me to start my own business and make it sustainable. So that's very important. So that's what we mean so I was contributing to your point when you say that you're an employee, yes, because it's not good. You know, a lot of people say, and unfortunately, it's a lot of the elder generation who tell us, just even and government officials, right? When young people complain that hakuna kazi, government officials will look at you, just start your own business. And you're just like, with what money, right? With what money? So all of us cannot be entrepreneurs, all of us cannot be business owners, but in that same job that you have, and you can make a 9-to-5 work by saving, investing, and building your work ethic. So yeah, that's my contribution. Elvis, I have a question. When it comes to this topic, is it possible to retire early? What lifestyle adjustments do you think we should do, or what lifestyle adjustments are we meant to do in order for us to be able to retire early? Because we don't want to think that retiring early means having this bunch of money and just spending it as much as we want.
Yeah, I totally agree, because one thing that we always need to learn quite early is that money will never be enough, no matter how you look at it. So even though you have, let's say, 50 million today and you believe it's enough, different things come up and you're like, okay, this money is not enough. So one of the things that I usually like to say when it comes to the sacrifices you have to do, right? I don't look at them as sacrifices. I just look at them as things I have to do towards achieving my goal. And one of them is I usually say, live within your means. Avoid being delusional, as she said. The next thing, it's more mental, right? You usually find yourself when you earn, let's say you're employed and you get a salary increase and you earn more money, right? Usually the first things we do, you realize, okay, now I need a bigger car, or now I need to move from paying rent of X amount to paying rent of X amount. And say the only way to achieve certain goals is you just need to learn how to live within your means. This means if you look at, for example, at your budget and things that you actually spend on, you need to identify places that you actually have to tighten and not increase, as I usually say, as peer pressure will dictate us to increase, and what to actually spend on. And I'm not saying stop living life the way you want to live life. All I'm saying is we just have to avoid being delusional. So you have to change your lifestyle. And a principle I go by is that if your lifestyle is one whereby you enter a room and 10,000 chucks your pocket, then there's a problem somewhere, right? You need to change your lifestyle to be a lifestyle that you're not losing money out of your lifestyle. Either your lifestyle is adding value to you, right? Or your lifestyle is adding money into your pocket. If you do it the opposite side, you'll always find yourself, again, in a rat race, because you're trying to pay for a lifestyle you can't afford. So that's the principle I use, right? Especially when I say making lifestyle adjustments. You really need, personally, my first source of income is my lifestyle. It's literally how I carry out myself and what exactly I do in different situations. Yeah.
I'll also answer that question. I've found to be important for me and for other people is that when you're thinking of financial freedom, is think about what matters to you and what doesn't. Like, be very, very clear about what matters to you and what doesn't. I'll give an example. So for me, a thing that doesn't matter to me is owning a car, right? And this is not true. This doesn't mean that it is wrong to own a car. For me, owning a car doesn't matter to me. Why? I work from home full time, right? So I'm not commuting anywhere on a daily basis. Using an Uber when I need to, move to go wherever, that is enough for me. So owning a car, so for me, incurring that cost of buying a car, incurring the cost of fueling, maintaining, and all that, it doesn't matter to me. But what matters to me, I think, so I'm trying to help you understand how you can define your own lifestyle, or how you can define your own financial freedom. Because the thing is, if you do not, then something like social media or your peers and the people around you will define for you what financial freedom means to you. And that means that you will see your neighbor with a good car, and then you want a good car. You'll see that your neighbor wants to move to a new neighborhood, and then you'll move to a new neighborhood. You'll see your neighbor dressed as X, and then you want to dress like them. And so therefore, at the end of the day, because your money will run out if you try to compete with everyone, if you want to be everything, if you want to have everything nice. So the thing is, you need to specifically ask yourself what matters to me and what doesn't. So that's why I was giving an example. So for me, one thing that doesn't matter to me is owning a car. But another thing that that actually matters to me is having a stylist, for example. So, having a stylist. So for me, I really overthink about what to wear and what to dress. So instead of that cost of owning a car and maintaining a car, I'd rather get a stylist who defines for me what to wear and how to dress and how to show up to places. So for you also, you need to define that so that you're not buying everything and you're not becoming everyone. Because at the end of the day, I say you're going to run out of money trying to become like everyone. Okay?
I think one last question we should even just ask the audience, right? Because again, this is a conversation that we can never finish this conversation in a day. As I said, it's more of a thought process, how you think, right? And one question probably would like to ask them is, what do you guys think? Do you guys really think it's possible to retire at 40? One thing I'm very particular about, and I understand, is that issues such as retirement and issues such as home ownership and money, it's a lot more cultural. It's not something very fixed, that it's not something that we can change very easily. It's more of how you think. It's more about your personality. So I think a question that will just pass on over to you guys to probably just assist us and share your thoughts is that, do you really think, even based off the conversation we've talked about, is it really possible to retire at 40 in this setting?
Especially if you're not a trust fund baby. Because if you're a trust fund baby, you can live off your father's or your mother's money, right? So is it possible to retire at 40 if you're not a trust fund baby? Is it really possible? You can respond in the form of a question, in the form of an answer.
Hi guys, my name is Alan.
Your name is?
Alan.
Okay.
I don't perceive retirement the way a normal person would perceive retirement. For me, I perceive retirement as the next step. You've just said you are working to get to a certain point. Now, I turn the retirement into, now I own the business, it's mine. I still have to work to get to where I want to go, but I have other people who are working for me. Now that's retirement.
I'm Brian, and I think it is possible to retire at 40. It depends with your own personal goals and how you define retirement. Before you talked about your retirement, how you perceive your retirement. I wanted to ask that question before when Elvis talked about it, that to me retirement is not leaving work as because this is the age that I want to leave work. But to me retirement means that I have time freedom and I can engage in other things that I want, maybe philanthropist things. But you find I cannot be able to engage in philanthropic work because maybe I don't have the willpower or I don't have that money to be able to make me to do so. So I believe it's possible to retire at 40, but if only you define a way that you want to retire about it.
Splendid. I'm so happy that he said it in such few words. Like, the answer to this conversation is for you to define for yourself what retirement means to you, and then you work towards that. Don't copy paste what Agatha said retirement is for her. Don't copy paste what any person in this room or any person that you know how they define retirement. First define what it means for you and then work towards it. Because if you do not have clarity about what retirement is for you, then where are you going, right? Where are you going? Because it's also important to ask yourself, this is where I am. Where am I going? Where do I go from there? So perfect. Is it possible to retire at 40?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Mary. I think it's possible to retire at 40. Right now I'm 33. I just turned 33, so I have 7 years. For me, retirement means achieving perfect financial literacy. And I have 2 children. I just had my baby in June, my second born. So the minute I know I've retired, I've attained perfect financial literacy. And I say perfect, I want it to mean that I have practically done this work, like I have saved money in MMM or something like that, done this investment, and I've seen it work, and I can pass down that knowledge to my children. That will be retirement to me. So, knowledge. I don't want my children to be employees or have the employee mindset. I want them to be inventors and have an inventor mindset. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Joy Bobby. To answer your question, I do believe you can retire by 40. But my reason for standing at this moment was I have 2 questions. I was hoping to pick your brain, if that's okay. One, I'd like to ask Elvis, pose a question to Elvis. You talked of black tax, and my question to you would be, how would you advise someone, a younger person with parents who are close to retiring and they don't per se have investments, or like your example said, a shamba where you can look for someone to be the one working on their behalf and then the proceeds go to them. What would you advise someone in such a situation? What skills would you say you teach someone who is, to be very honest, not very marketable in the job market at the time? And then to Agatha, I'd like to ask how you, actually it's Elvis, sorry. You said that we're supposed to be entrepreneurs in whatever space we find ourselves in. My question to you is, how do you know which path would, or rather the problem you'd like to solve? Because again, I wouldn't want to be in a position where I'm saying I'm retired, this is the life I want to lead after a certain age, and it's not something per se I'm interested in or I'm passionate about. So you find yourself in a situation where you're still struggling to wake up every day and achieve this financial freedom. Thank you.
Okay, I think those are very good questions, right? I think on the black tax aspect, right, I'll shy away from advising because I usually believe at times I'm very radical, and I'll let Agatha answer that. But what I will say about black tax, right, and also from the many financial planning sessions I've also done, right, and one of the things I was once told, and I usually pass it on, it's one, when it comes to black tax, at some point, yes, I was once encouraged to have a budget for it, right? When I'm budgeting for my finances, what I want to do, I was told to put X amount towards black tax, right? But remember, what I said is that I got to a point and realized I want to achieve X goal a lot faster, right? So I had to be very radical and say, unfortunately, I have to let God play God, right? Because again, it also takes a lot of time. And I think on that aspect of, you said you're in a case where you have parents who, you say they're not able to, you've clearly seen they're not, for example, they're not marketable in the workplace. You probably find a hard way of trying to teach them a new skill, right? Now it goes back to the budgeting. So you look at it, if you're doing a budget for them, you're trying to build something that is sustainable to help them be able to continue sustaining it, right? Or you, for example, you're building a fund that can continue sustaining them. What you're not doing is removing money and paying for bills all the time. Bills and bills and bills. Because now you're in a rat race. So you need to sit back and figure out, so how can I actually develop something, right, that will be able to sustain them, even though they're not marketable. But on the aspect of being marketable, I think it's something anyone can be taught at whatever age, right? I think I've been around people, they get to an age where, for example, you're at 60, 65, and people are trying to, okay, how can I offer consulting? It probably is a lot I've learned throughout, right, in next life. But I'll let Agatha also expound on that a bit more, right? On the aspect of entrepreneurship and being able to find something you love doing. One thing I've come to understand, at times you'll never find what you're passionate about, right? Most of the time, you never find what you're passionate about is what will work for you, right? And you can be passionate about something, but you really are unable to find a way to enable it to sustain you, right? So it again goes back to lifestyle. You have to live a lifestyle where you're in a space where you're looking for problems to solve. You're trying to find problems to solve. You're basically exposing yourself, researching on different things, being in spaces where, even in such spaces, you're networking with people, right? I'm sure in this room there's someone who has said something, right? But you need to have the mentality to actively listen, and you'll find someone has talked about a problem that you find, I can actually solve this problem, right? I'll even give an example of VUCA, right? Which is what we do. VUCA didn't come out, was not developed because it was planned, right? COVID came up, right? So during the COVID times, that's how VUCA was born, because COVID came, right? One of the key insights our founders saw during the COVID times is that a lot of Kenyans were asset rich and cash poor, right? And this was mainly because a lot of us store our value in physical assets, be it land, be it cars, etc. I think you look at someone driving a big car and you assume for sure he's rich, right? Or he's wealthy. You see someone buying land. Then COVID taught us a lesson that all these people we've been seeing, right, are now fundraising to pay for bills. And we've always understood and seen them that they're pretty well off, right? So how is it that now they can't afford XX bills? And that's how VUCA came out. So we saw a problem in the sense that a lot of us are very asset rich and cash poor, and we store value in land. So I usually consider till today what we're trying to do is changing cultures and mindsets. But if you look at it, it's a real problem that is actually in the market, not planned for at all, right? But it came out of a crisis, right? We had to go through a crisis. So at times, you need to put yourself in a position where you're learning. At times, even a crisis is an opportunity, right? Maybe the space you're in, for example, with the black tax with your parents, the space you're in, try and look at it that, okay, fine, my parents are not able to be marketable. But could there be an opportunity that out of that you not only create for your parents, right, but even for the world at large? Because I'm sure there are many other people like you who go through the same. I think I'll let Agatha expound more on the black tax.
So I have a friend, and we've been friends for like 4 years now. This girl has had a job, a well-paying job for the last 11 years. And so the backstory is that she comes from a poor family, and there are 11 siblings in their family. So you can imagine, when you're 11 siblings, it becomes even harder. And so she is the only person in that family who first got a university education. And so when she got a university education, the good thing is that she got a scholarship, she did her master's, and immediately she got a good job. And this is what she did. Because she loves her family, her parents and her other siblings, she decided to dedicate her life to saving her family, right? Sending money back home. And one particular example I'll give, and I'll not call it a mistake because it was her decision, and I don't have a right to call it a mistake. I just want you to make the conclusion that you'll make from it. So her parents, yes, they are poor, but they have a small piece of land. They have a small piece of land in Thika. And so I remember one day she opened a savings account and she saved 400,000. First of all, she didn't live in Kenya, so she saved 400,000, and then she wired the money back home. She sent the money back home to her parents, and she told the parents, I want you guys. So she told them, I want you guys to start a chicken farming business. The way we default to such businesses, so she instructed them, this is 400,000, I want you to start a chicken rearing business. And so, yes, the parents started, built the chicken coop, and then started, I think they bought 100 chickens. But the thing is, so when she sent the 400K, her mindset was, I have solved the problem, right? I have solved the problem because they were calling her constantly to say, pesa chakula, she was paying all the bills. So in her mind, she thought she has solved that problem forever, like a lot of us want to do. The problem is 3 months later, they called her, the parents called her and told her, the water bill is 26,000. I remember the exact figure. The water bill is 26,000. And I remember I was seated with her and she was asking, what do you mean you want me to send 26,000 for the water bill? I sent 400,000. I told you to start a chicken business so that you never have to call me with such bills. You know, like you shouldn't call me for food and all that. But then I remember they told her, yes, you sent us the 400,000, but we ate all the chicken and sold the others and give the others to the neighbors. Yeah, like they were eating chicken every day, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, they were eating chicken every day and giving it to the neighbor. You know, first of all, what you've done is that one of them, I was telling her, one of the quote unquote mistakes she did is that she sent these people 400,000. Like these people they were shocked, right? They have never had 400,000 in cash like this. Anyway, so first of all, so obviously the business failed and she still went back to that cycle of having to pay their bills every day. And so I remember the conclusion I drew from this conversation is that I told her, one of the mistakes that we make when it comes to black tax is this thing of trying to save people. And I said it before. And I want you to learn. And it's also something I've experienced. Crazy, crazy black tax. I came to a conclusion that you cannot be more responsible over a person than they are responsible for themselves. Because most of us try to be more responsible over our siblings, over our cousins, over our parents, of instilling these skills by force. Because remember what my friend did? He called her parents and told them, sorry, I want you to start the chicken business. Did they want to start the chicken business? Do they have the skills? Do they have the financial skills to start the business? So that is the first mistake we do. We pour money onto the situation and dictate. You cannot be more responsible over a person than they are responsible for themselves. The best way I've found to solve black tax is when somebody first starts the initiative. That I have found, I like, it can even be that chicken farming, but let the person come and tell you that I have found that I know how to do these things, I know how to keep the records, this is how much money I think that it is going to. Let the initiative come from them and do not pour such money into such a situation. And then moving on to the lady, again, the same one who asked about passion. I remember one of the mistakes that we make as young people when it comes to finding what we are passionate about is that we think that it's going to come naturally, right? Like one day you're going to be seated somewhere and then, whoa, this is what I'm passionate about. I also used to think of the same until I read this book. I can't remember the author, but the book is called Be So Good That They Cannot Ignore You. And so this author explains how to find your passion. And he says that how to find your passion is by existing and already doing something, right? Because most of us sit back and wait to find your passion in order for you to start doing something. So the thing is, start whatever. If it's that 9-to-5 job, do it and do it very well. If it's a small business that you have, do it and do it very well. With time, as you interact with that job, as you interact with your environment, as you interact with people, you will find your passion. An example I would give in my own personal life is, when I started the Wealth Tribe, it was just a blog, right? It was just a blog, and I really, really was fighting very hard for it to just be a blog. That I never have to attend such events, I never have to show my face. I was really fighting hard until people started telling me, why don't you change or convert this blog post into videos, right? And I remember I really, really refused for like 6 months. I said, no, I cannot do this, until I started doing videos. And then that's how I discovered I'm actually a good teacher. Do you think I'm a good teacher? Yeah. Like it is by doing, it is by accepting that, okay, you guys, I'm going to do these videos for you. Then that's how I discovered, I can actually teach. And then now that I added that into one of the other passions that I have. So you get what I'm saying? So don't sit back and wait for you to discover your passion. Live. Go out there, try new hobbies, work hard at your job, interact with people. One day, it's going to be a light bulb moment. You're like, yeah, there's something she said during that meeting. There's something he said during that meeting. And I actually think this is something I'm passionate about. Don't sit back. Go, do, be. The passion will come. Okay? Right. Any other question, contribution? Yes. How do you budget to upgrade your lifestyle?
Yeah. So I think the question of how do you budget to upgrade your lifestyle is a very good, not good, but a very powerful question, right? You mentioned that I'm a parent. Yes, I have a beautiful daughter. I think everything I do these days is just to ensure she has the best life ever, right? Actually, a better life. I want to give her everything I ever had plus what I didn't have. Now, on the question of how to budget for the life you want, as I said, I usually think in a very radical manner. And to me, when I look at what do I need, right? You've said you don't want to live, you don't want to be in a space where you're living within your means all the time, right? So you don't want to have a budget that reduces, that makes you sacrifice on different things, right?
You have to live within your means, though.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
You have to live within your means. So as you live within your means, personally, I think the only way to now be able to go above your budget is make yourself more valuable, right? I said lifestyle is how you earn more income, right? And one thing I do, and I usually tell a lot of my team members, always learn a new skill, right? You need to become so valuable, right, that whenever someone thinks of someone to do something, they think of you. So you basically you add value addition to yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to go and do a master's, for example, right? It simply means you have to keep on learning new skills, right, to make yourself more valuable and more income, and that income will enable you to keep on upgrading, right? I look at it in terms of, let me go back to when being employed, right? When you're employed, I usually say, like, look at accountants. There are so many accountants, right? Rather, there are so many doctors, or even marketers in this case. But so you look at it, so how, in the marketing field, for example, where I work, I look at it, so how do I make myself more valuable than other marketers, right? So these are, for example, a pay scale for all type of marketers. But if you go for what new skills can you learn in marketing that people don't, for example, know? I'll give you an example. A lot of marketers do not like doing sales, right? They like marketing only. A lot of companies look for someone who can do sales and marketing, right? So you find a company has a head of sales of marketing, right? But you yourself, you're like, hey, I don't like these sales, so I won't apply for this better paying job, right? So the skill there for you to learn is how can you combine both of those into one? Then you become more valuable, right? You've learned a new skill. So this company is hiring, they will look at marketers and be like, okay, there's one individual who does both, so they pick this individual, right? As I say, you don't have to like it, but you teach yourself a new skill to sort of add value to yourself. Yeah.
Yes, I think when you say, how do you budget to upgrade your lifestyle? The answer to that question is actually, how do you upgrade your income? Because imagine it this way, you earn 100,000, right? And you want to upgrade your lifestyle from that 100,000. That's not possible. So imagine you have 100,000 and you live in a 30K house. And then so you decide that you want to upgrade your lifestyle. One of the ways you can upgrade your lifestyle is moving to a different neighborhood, and now you're paying 50,000 in rent. Do you see what you've just done? You've messed all your other categories of your budget, right? So you're trying to constrain yourself in this 100K. So actually the answer to your question is, how do you upgrade your income? Because when you upgrade your income, then you're able to upgrade your lifestyle. So this is an income problem. And so I think, that would be my response. Upgrade your income. Upgrade your income and upgrade your value, right? So I like reading a lot. And so there's this author, his name is Naval Ravikant. He's written, there's a book that talks about how to get rich without getting lucky. That book is written about Naval Ravikant. And one of the things that Naval says is that when you're a business owner, for example, it's not even about when you're a business owner. As an individual, your hourly rate should be insane, right? So for example, me, I'm a financial coach. Right now, at the moment, it's not even insane yet, but I'm about to make it even more insane. Right now, my hourly rate, if you want to pick my brain for 1 hour, it's 8,500, right? And a lot of people, they come to me and like, I want to pick your brain for 1 hour. They expect me to say something like 1,500 or 2,500, but then I'm telling them for 1 hour, it's 8,500. So, and I remember like right? Mary is shaking her head because she asked me like a year ago, what was my pick my brain, how much I was charging a year ago. And a year ago, I told her it was 6,500. Right now, it's 8,500. So to answer your question, it's an income thing in order for you to be able to afford the lifestyle that you want. But then you have to be so valuable in order for somebody to be willing to pay you that amount of money. Because then if you're just saying, oh, my hourly rate is 10,000 per hour, but people don't see the value that you're offering, they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay that. So, but I wanted to put it another way. So, so for you to be able to afford last lifestyle you want, start making more money. Like start making more money, start figuring out how to make more money. And so for me, that's what I did. I simply started figuring out how to make more money, especially making more money passively. I had lost my train of thought. I wanted to say, see, I think of it this way. If you are me, if you are a financial coach like me, and then let's say my hourly rate was 1,500, how many people do I have to coach, or how many pick my brain sessions do I have to do in a month, and how many people do I have to deal with, and how many people do I have to have pick my brain sessions with in order to make, like, let's say 200 Gs? A lot of people. I have to do a lot of advice, and I have to do a lot of hours, right? And remember what you were saying, the goal of financial freedom, one of the things that I've found magical is separating your input from your output, right? And so I have done 1 hour, therefore I am worth 1,500. Separate that thing, right? And so, but now if my hourly rate is 8,500, I have to deal with less people to make 200 Gs. You understand? So it's like, it's all about how much value do you have? Are people willing to pay for that value so that you work less and earn more and rest more? That's the thing. Improve your value, improve your hourly rate. Let it be insane as it can get. Yes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Renee. I have a question with regards to investing. How much is too much with regards to the types of investments you have? Let's say you have VUCA, then you have land, then you have MMF, then you have, let's say, T-bonds, T-bills. Like, should you be having as many investments and doing as much as you can, or should you double down and maybe, let's say, have 2, 3 that work? Maybe you can just share on that. Thank you.
How much is too much? From my observation, the direct answer is go as wild as you can, just make them legit investments, right? Go as wild as you can, just make them legit investments. You know, don't try doing those little things I've talked about, forex trading, selling NFTs. You know, go as wild as you can, as much as just make sure they are legit investments, right? The other thing is another answer is the problem that I've observed from my coaching is that people spread themselves too thin. Think of it this way: you make 100K per month from your job, and then you need 70,000 to survive, you know, like to pay your bills, rent, food, all those. And so you're left with 30,000 shillings per month to do your investments. The mistake people make is you spread yourself too thin with this 30,000. So you see someone is putting 5K on VUCA, 5K on money market funds, saving aside 5K so that one day it gets to 50K to buy bonds, putting 5K in the stock market, what else? You know, putting 5K in real estate, you know, putting it aside so that one day they are able to buy land. The question is, if you put that 5K, small thing, when are you ever going to achieve your goals? It's going to take forever, right? And so usually my advice is be laser focused, right? Start by asking yourself, what are my goals, right? And especially, what are my immediate goals? For 99% of us in this room, one of our most immediate goals is having an emergency fund, right? So if I asked you, if you lost your job tomorrow, how long would it take before you slide into poverty? If you woke up tomorrow and you are fired, you're like, out. How long would it take before you slide into poverty? And sliding into poverty also means borrowing from your relatives, borrowing from your neighbors. And I always say, if the answer to that question is not 6 months or more, if you got fired tomorrow and you cannot survive for the next 6 months using your savings, then it is an emergency that you build your emergency fund. It is an emergency that you build your emergency fund. So that should be your first goal. I can tell you for 99% of us who are in this room. So be laser focused with first building your emergency fund. That 30K, that whole 30K should go towards building your emergency fund. Or maybe, for example, if you're in debt, you know, though your question was not about debt, you can decide to split it into half. Half of it goes into debt payment, half of it goes into building your emergency fund. Given you your answer? Yes.
So,
hi, I'm Susan. Just a question and appreciation. This is my second time to attend a VUCA meeting, and I think it's possible to retire at 40, even if not everything you have achieved, but with this information you are sharing, it's very much possible. At least by 40, I'm 5 years to 40. So by 50, by 40, I know I'll not be having any debt, so I'll be debt free. Then another thing, Agatha, congratulate us so much is that for both, she keep on telling, are you receiving both this month? And what I want to do, I'm pairing up my investment that each month I'll be receiving a coupon. So by 40, I'll have a good passive income to sustain me. So my question is to Vuka at this. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, first of all. I love people who implement the knowledge.
Thank you.
I love people.
To Elvis, my question is, as Vuka, you're doing a lot through the financial literacy education you're giving unto us. But I want to ask you a question. Is there an alignment between the Vuka, the late, and us, helping us, enabling us? If for me, I'm 5 years to retirement, but at 5, what are you promising me that my value of investment could be? Thank you.
So I'll explain what the investment offers, right? Because VUCA is a platform that enables you to invest in the Econ income REIT, right? Now, the investment is a long-term investment, right? So it grows over time, right? So I usually tell people, look at it as very similar to real estate. If you buy a parcel of land, 'cause that's what people like to do. If you buy a parcel of land, let's say you are 30 years old, right? So you buy a parcel of land. And this parcel of land, let's say you did it as a store of value, and you're telling yourself, in maybe 20 years, you want to sell it, right? The thing you're going to gain from that is capital gains, right? So maybe you had a goal, and in 20 years' time, you now want to sell your parcel of land, get your capital gains, and grow. So it's the same concept with VUCA. You're basically investing in real estate that grows, and it's one of the purposes we're here today, to also show you the assets and the quality of assets that you invest in. So the investment is not something that will get to a point where it ends. It's a real estate investment. Say each year the product adds more assets into the pool of assets. So how you gain at whatever age you get to, right, even after 10 years, is mostly through the capital gains. And again, there's the aspect of dividends, right, which you add, and it's meant to be income generating. And I think something Agatha teaches, even with the bonds, your goal is to have money working for you. So even with VUCA, you're putting a certain amount of money, right, and leaving it there. So it keeps working for you, and you gain from the consistent dividends that is actually paid out year after year. So that's how you gain, plus on the capital gains. But again, I usually like to say, it is a long-term investment. Real estate is generally a long-term investment, right? It's very hard for us to one day wake up and say, this year will give you a 20% return on your money. It will be lying to you. It's impossible. That's why we say that's why we're always very keen that real estate is a long-term investment. VUCA is a long-term investment. If you enter into it when you're 20 years, have a horizon of 10 years, for example, right? And that's the point you exit. And I usually say, before you invest in VUCA, ensure you have an emergency fund. You've set up a money market fund somewhere. It's meant to get to a point you're diversifying. True wealth is created by diversifying, and diversifying strategically. Laser focuses, she said. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is related to what she had asked about how much is too much. Because I read somewhere that a lot of everything can lead to a lot of nothing, right? So for someone like me, for example, I'm the one, that example you've given of 30K, so you 2K here, 2K. I have, like, in my budget, there's 25,000 that goes to like 7 things, right?
Are you a magician? How?
Yeah. I know, I get it, but my question is, because even sometimes I forget the password to some of these things, because now...
Of course you will. You're stretched too thin. Yeah.
So, like you've said, to be laser focused, which is really good advice. But for me, I'm 25, right? And I want to retire at 40. My 40 is not the one everyone is saying, so do you define your return? Mine is 40, I'm packing my bag, I'm going to Shago. That is like the quintessential retirement. So now that I'm 25, I have 15 years, 14 and a half. And my everything, there's a chance it can lead to nothing, right? If I'm stretching myself too thin. So as someone wants to be laser focused and having a goal that so that you're not doing all these things, like where do you even start? Right? Because yes, we are hearing to be laser focused, which is nice, but as me, where do I start?
As you need to pay for a Pick My Brain session. Yeah, because your question is very specific, right? It's as you, right? And one of the things that I would need to understand about you is what is your source of income? How much money do you make? What are your financial goals? What is your risk profile in order for me to answer as you? But then in general, I already answered that for 99% of us who are here, you need to first start by funding your emergency fund. Like even you now, that's a direct answer, right? Please stop doing these 7 things and first start by answering that question. If you got fired tomorrow, or if your source of income got lost tomorrow, how long would you survive? In order for you to feel very, very secure about your finances, the answer should be a year. Like for me, I know for sure, if you didn't pay for my Pick My Brain session, joking, if nobody hired me to even if VUCA didn't collaborate with me, I can survive for the next 1 year because my emergency fund is sorted. You understand? So start by that. And after you do that, ask yourself now, what are my other financial goals? And then from then, fund them. But please stop the 7 things. So that, also, money is very psychological, right? And so what happens is when someone comes to me and they're doing what you're doing, I usually tell them to be laser focused on 1 or 2 things because I have seen what it means when somebody crosses over a goal. Imagine, let's say you want to lose weight, for example, right? And then you're like, for the next 5 years before the year end, I want to move from, let's say, 70 kgs to 50 kgs. And then imagine December 31st comes and you're like, I did it, right? I lost the 20 kgs. That gives you a lot of motivation because I did it, right? Human beings we really rely on being able to achieve our goals. So that's the thing. If you're spreading yourself to things with all these 7 things, you'll never achieve anything. And you know what is going to happen? 3 years down the line, you're going to say, this financial freedom that Agatha keeps talking about is unachievable, right? Because you spread yourself to things, you're not achieving anything. Therefore, you're going to give up and conclude that this thing that we talk about is not achievable. But if you just become laser focused and achieve something, you're like, but then this is doable. And for sure, I felt that the day I achieved debt freedom. Like if you've been watching my videos or reading my blogs long enough, my biggest problem used to be debt. I used to be borrow Peter to pay Paul. I used to play ping pong games with this Tala, Mshwari, KCB, M-Pesa back in 20. I was the queen of mobile money loans, right? I had all those mobile money loans and then I had to borrow money from my friends. I used to borrow money from my colleagues and I had a help loan. Until one day I sat down and I asked myself, why? Why am I doing this? And then I achieved debt freedom. I paid all my debt. I paid my help. I paid all these mobile money loans, deactivated all those accounts. And I remember feeling this thing is doable. Like I have 0 debt. Like there's no one who can call me today and like, ile deni yangu. So the minute you tick that goals like that, then it plants a seed in you that even this thing we are saying at retiring by 40, it's very possible. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. First things first, able to wapigia makofi.